right? When it comes down to it, we're putting poison in our bodies because it's socially acceptable. It'd be no different than if one day all of us started consuming pesticides or rat poison or ammonia, and our body developed a tolerance to it over generations. Let's kind of do a thought experiment for a moment. Close your eyes and pretend that an alien race descended onto the earth. And they lived in the shadows, observing humanity, kind of understanding our ways, what we do, how we spend our time. So this alien race would see us going to work Monday through Friday, the same monotonous routines. Work, home, maybe the gym, the supermarket, we go to sleep. Work, home, sleep. Work, home, sleep. Then on the weekends, these aliens would watch us go out to bars and people's houses and consume copious amounts of this liquid, this poison that would dull our senses, make us throw up, and give us extreme hangovers the next day. They would see us acting like idiots with no sense of self-awareness, no sense of what we're doing, making regrettable decisions, acting recklessly, and continuing to put this poison into our bodies. And the aliens would look at each other and they'd probably be questioning why. What are these people doing? Just like if we went to the zoo and we saw, rhinos, or I don't know, we saw giraffes, doing something similar. I mean, can you imagine like a rhino or a giraffe, acting like that? And I'm sure there's memes where you see animals, asterisks drunk or whatever, but there's no logical explanation for it, guys. So why do we drink? Let's kind of try to find the reason behind this. Is we seek an altered state of mind. As human beings, we get tired of the same experiences, the same routines, the same life. We want something different. And we can have different experiences. You can watch a rom-com instead of a psychological thriller. You can get takeout instead of going out to eat. But that's not enough. We want to see the world with a different set of glasses. That's why people turn to recreational drugs in the first place. They're bored with seeing the world as a sober, reasoned, clear person. They crave the altered state of mind so badly, and that leads into my third point on depression. But I think what ends up happening is people are so bored and so tired of their ordinary weekday state of mind, they turn to alcohol and they live for the weekend. They end up getting drunk to forget their problems. And ultimately, that turns into alcohol abuse problems. Alcoholics Anonymous has been an amazing resource for folks that have dealt with that, but unfortunately, it's becoming more and more pronounced. I would have to look into statistics on this, but I would venture to guess that in America, and much of this conversation is limited to America right now, the universalization of alcohol, the degree to which we drink at younger ages, is becoming more and more prevalent now than it used to be. And some of that, I think, has to do with social media's impact on how we see the world, on wanting to be liked and validated by others, on how pop culture portrays partying, the Kardashians and the Jersey Shore or whoever you look to, those guys drinking as teenagers and engaging in that behavior, I'm sure encourages folks to drink. But let's kind of go back. The second reason we seek an altered state of mind, I think that is a major factor in why we're drinking. The monotony, the boredom of seeing the world the way that we see it. And along with that, I think we as the human race, and especially people who drink regularly, I think we're depressed. And Holly and I talked last week about how hard it is to differentiate between a clinical, diagnosed mental illness and a circumstance right? Like how to know if you're depressed because your girlfriend broke up with you versus you're depressed because, it's because you have seasonal affective disorder. And I mentioned that, I think there's reason to believe we're all on a spectrum. We all have traces of a lot of these mental illnesses from time to time. I think we have symptoms of depression, each and every one of us. Alcohol scientifically is a depressant, which means it inhibits the function of the central nervous system by impairing it and slowing physical and psychological activity, as I've mentioned. But alcohol is both a cause and an effect of depression. Because if you already have depression, you may turn to alcohol to cope with symptoms of sadness and loneliness. And it may help in the short term. As I mentioned, you're less in your head, you're less self-aware. But in the long term, alcohol is going to worsen depression. If you drink enough, if you drink a couple days in a row, you're not just going to get a hangover when you wake up the next day. You're going to feel emotionally sad. I don't know if this has happened to some of you guys. It's happened to me, but you drink for a couple days in a row and you just feel sad because of the impact physiologically that it's having on your amygdala and in your prefrontal cortex. Some people have overlapping genetic predispositions that make them more vulnerable to both alcohol issues and depression. And the onset of one condition can trigger the onset of another. Hangovers are accompanied many times by feelings of depression, as I've mentioned, but continuing to engage in alcohol abuse will actually worsen that depression, and extend it. So it's important to realize alcohol isn't only an effect of depression, but it's a cause as well.